Evening falls hard while we wait for the moon. The sky turns blue and pink and blue again. The darker, deeper blue, the next thing to black. I still haven't told Eli that we're going. Moments ago, Vic and I showed everyone how to fire the guns. Now we're waiting to run out on the others and down into the gaping, jagged mouth of the carving. We hear a sharp beep of the incoming message on the mini port. Vic puts it up to his ear and listens. I wonder what the enemy thinks of us. These people that the society rarely bothers to defend. They gun us down and then we crawl back out in a seemingly endless supply. Do we seem like rats, mice, fleas, some kind of vermin that can't be killed? Or does the enemy have some idea of what the society is doing? Listen, Vic calls out. He finishes with the mini port. I just got a message from the official in charge. A murmur runs through the crowd. They stand by the black powder, hands and eyes alive with hope. It's hard to keep from looking away. Words start going through my mind, familiar rhythm, and it's only after a few moments that I realize what I'm doing. I'm saying the words of our dead over them. We're getting new villagers soon, Vic says. How many? Someone calls out. I don't know, Vic says. All I know is that the official says they're going to be different. But we're to treat them as any other villager, and we'll be accountable for anything that happens to them. Everyone's silent. This one of the things that they told us that has held true. If any of us kill or hurt one of the others, the official comes for you. Fast. We've seen it before. The society made it clear. We're not to injure each other. That's for the enemy to do. Maybe they're sending a big group. Someone calls out, maybe we should wait until they get here to try and fight. No, Vic says. The ring of the authority in his voice. If the enemy comes tonight, we fight. Fire tonight. He points to the round white moon rising along the horizon. Let's get in position. What do you think he means? Eli asked after the others have gone. About the new villagers being different. Vic sets his mouth in a firm line, and I know we've had the same thought. Girls. They're going to send girls. You're right, Vic says, looking at me. They're getting rid of the aberrations. And I bet they'll let any of the anomalies get gunned down before us, I say, and almost before the words are out of my mouth, I see Vic's hand tighten into a fist and swing right at my face. I move just in time. He misses, and instinctively I hit him square in the stomach. He staggers back, but I don't fall. Eli gasps. Vic and I stare at each other. The agony in Vic's eyes didn't come from the punch I landed. Vic's been hit before. Like I have. We can handle that kind of pain. I'm not sure why what I said caused such a reaction from him. But I know there's no way he'll ever tell. I keep my secrets. He keeps his. I think I'm an anomaly, Vic says. Quiet. Eli takes a step back and keeps his distance. No, I say. What if I were? I'd be glad, I say. It would mean that someone survived, or that I'm wrong about what the society's doing out here. Vic and I both look at the sky, and we've heard the same thing, felt the same shift. The enemy, the moon is up, and it's full. They're coming, Vic calls out. The other voices pick up the call. They shout and yell, and hear the terror and anger and something else in their voices, and I recognize from long ago the joy of fighting back. Vic looks at me, and I know we think the same thing. We're tempted to stay and fight this out. I shake my head at Vic. No, he can stay, but I won't. I have to get out of here. I have to try and get back to Cassia. Flashlights move and shift in the light. Dark figures run and scream. Now, Vic says. I drop my gun and grab Eli's arm. Come with us, I tell Eli. He looks at me confused. Where? He asks. And I point to the direction of the carving. His eyes widen. There? There, I say. Now. Eli hesitates for just a moment, and then he nods and we run. I leave the gun behind on the ground. One more chance, maybe, for someone else. Out there in the corner of my eye, I see Vic putting his gun down too, and the mini port next to it. In the night, it feels like we're running fast over the back of some kind of enormous animal, sprinting over its spine and through the patches of tall, thin gold grass, and now glimmers of the silver fur in the moonlight. Soon enough, we'll hit hard rock and get closer to the carving, and that's when we'll be the most exposed. Less than half a mile later, I feel Eli falling back. Drop the gun, I tell him, and when he doesn't, I reach out and knock it out of his hand. It clatters to the ground and Eli stops. Eli, I say, and then the firing begins, and the screaming. Run, I tell Eli. Don't listen. I'll try not to hear any of it either. The screaming, the yelling, the dying. We hit the edge of the sandstone. Eli and I pull up next to Vic, who has stopped and to get his bearing. That way, I say, pointing. We have to get back and help them, Eli says. Vic doesn't answer, but takes off again, running. Kai, keep running, Eli, I tell him. Don't you care about that? They're dying, Eli asks. Pop, pop, pop. The pathetic sound of the guns ringing came from behind us. Out there, it's nothing. Don't you want to live? I ask Eli, furious that he's making this so hard. And he won't let me forget what is happening behind us. And then the animals underneath our feet stutter, and something big has hit. Eli and I move fast. No instinct left but to live. Nothing on my mind except run. I've done this before. Years ago, my father once told me, if anything happens, run for the carving. He said, and so I did, and I always wanted to survive. But that time the officials came down the airship in front of me, making a short working of the miles that have taken me hours to run, and pushed me to the ground. I struggled. A rock scraped against my face, and I held on to the one thing I cared about in the village, my mother's paintbrush. On the airship, I saw the only other survivor, a girl from my village. When we were flying again, the officials held out a red tablet for us to take. I heard the rumors. I thought I was going to die, so I clamped my mouth shut and I wouldn't take mine. Come now, said one of the officials sympathetically, and then she shoved my mouth open and pushed the green tablet in. False calm came over me, and I couldn't fight when she put the red one in my mouth too. But my hands knew. They gripped the paintbrush so hard that it broke. I didn't die. They took us back behind the curtain in the airship and washed our hands and faces and hair. They were gentle with us while we were forgetting and giving us fresh clothes and told us a new story to remember instead of what really happened. We're sorry, they say, arranging their faces into expressions of regret. The enemy made a strike on the fields. There were many of your villagers were working. Overall casualties are low, but your parents were killed. I thought, why tell us this? Do you think we're going to forget? Casualties weren't low. Almost everyone died. And they weren't in the fields. I saw it all. The girl cried and nodded and believed, even though she should have known they were lying. I realized that forgetting was exactly what I was supposed to do. I pretended to forget. I nodded like the girl and tried to put the same blank look in my face that she had under her tears. But I didn't cry like she did. I knew that if I did, I would never stop. And then they would know what I'd really seen. They took away the broken paintbrush and asked why I had it. The moment I panicked, I couldn't remember the red tablet was working. Then I did remember, and I had the paintbrush because it was my mother's. I found it in the village when I came down from the plateau after the firing. I looked at them and said, I don't know, I found it. They believed me, and I learned how to lie just enough to not get caught. The carving loomed closer now. Which one? Vic calls out to me. Up close, the carving, you can see that they can't see from that far away. Deep cracks in the surface, each a different canyon and different choices. I don't know. I've never been here before. I've heard my father talk about it, but I've decided fast. I'm the leader now. For a minute, that's one. I say, pointing to the closest divide in the earth, and the one that's piled with bounded lining near it. Something about it seemed right, like a story I've known before. No flashlights now. The moon will have to do. We need both hands to get down into the earth. I cut my arm on the rock and burrs the plants attached anywhere it can, like stowaways. Behind us, I hear the boom and the sound that isn't like the enemy fire. This isn't in the village, it was close, somewhere on the plain right behind us. What's that? Eli asks. Go, Vic and I tell him at the same time, and we scramble faster, cut and bleeding and bruised. Haunted for the few moments, Vic pauses and I push past him. We have to go deep inside the slot canyon now. Careful, I call back. Ground's rocky, and I hear Eli and Vic breathing behind me. What was that? Eli asked again as soon as we got inside. Someone's following us, Vic says, and got shot down. We can't stop for a minute, I say, climbing under the large overhanging of the rock. Vic and Eli scramble with me. Vic's breath is raspy, and I look at him. It's fine, he says. It happens when I run, especially when there's dust. Who shot them down? Eli asks. The enemy? Vic doesn't say anything. Who? Eli's voice shrill. I don't know, Vic says. I really don't. You don't know? Eli says. No one knows anything, Vic says, except Kai. He thinks he found the truth in a girl. Hate boils up in me, pure exhausted rage, but before I can do anything, Vic adds, who knows? He might be right. He pushes away from the rocky wall and leaning against. Let's go. You first. Then the canyon air burns cold in my throat and I draw in my breath, wait for my eyes to adjust to the shade of the darkness and turn into the shapes of the rocks and the plants. This way, I say, shine your flashlight low if you need them, but the moon should be enough. Society likes to keep things from us, but the wind doesn't care, and what we know, brings hints of what has happened as we slip further into the canyon. The smell of smoke in the white surplus that falls on us. White ash. I don't for one moment think it was snow.